Still laughing.
Good to have fun. We have.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tracy, welcome back.
Great to be here again.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Tracy, we haven't seen you since this morning.
I know. Is it all right to jump on again? I think I missed the first little bit.
Absolutely. It's different content anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Brent's joining us. We got more coming. Hello, everybody. It's been a long day and a long couple of weeks, a long lockdown for a long couple of years for a lot of us. How are you guys all feeling?
Good.
We're not all talking at once, are we?
I'm in
How are you?
Perth, so we haven't been impacted as much in terms of the lockdowns as much. We've had them, but not like as bad as I guess it has been in Melbourne. So it's good here.
Yeah, I've got another friend in Perth who she was like sending me pictures about like all the outings and movies and all the dress ups and everything she's going out to. I'm like, well, you know, I'm happy for her. That's great. I'm like, I'm in my backyard. But I reckon we've made the most of it. All right, more are joining. Okay. We've had a very busy week, or a week and a half or something, like Jackie and I. So you guys, we just also today just wanted to thank you all for being with us in this challenge, because it's been a lot of fun. Sorry if you see, you know, I'm always touching my screen. It's because people keep joining. I think we've got about 10 or something coming at least. Oh, it's saying like 9 at the moment, but yeah, we've got more coming. So today we're talking about sales and offers and how to put it all together. This morning we did a bit of sales training, and today we want to talk specifically about how to put your package together, or how to kind of like price structure it in a way where it becomes very attractive. And so with Jackie and I, like we've there was a Facebook post that came up not too long ago with something with Jackie and I were doing that said it was 2 years old. You know, like Facebook reminds you of like the memories. And I'm like, how long have I known Jackie for? And so it's like longer than that. We've been working together like off and on, and especially like during the lockdown and the pandemic, it did cause a bit of an interruption to what we were doing, because in January 2020, Jackie and I started doing all of these seminars together, which was fun. And so like we did like something like in 2 days, like 90K in sales. And then all of a sudden, like the whole seminar game, like we just couldn't do it anymore. Like we were, you know, for 2 years, pretty much confined to our houses. And so we've had to do like a lot more online stuff. And so on Friday, we got, because our program that we offer is worth 12,000, and we got 4 people to join on Friday. So we're looking like from this round, it looks like about 10 people are probably joining us. And from that, like part of like Jackie and my like bigger picture game is that we're looking to take about like, you know, 10% of that money and put it, you know, directly back out to ads. And then at some point soon, you know, like get a sales team. And it's not something we haven't done before, but it's there's elements that we've done before that's all coming together, which is kind of like $1 million ladder in a way. But it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. And I love the challenge of it, because it's something that's complex, but it's not all that complex if you break it down. There's a bit of a philosophy that I like about, there's people that are a little bit more like heart and a little bit more like head. Or another way of saying it is like there's people that are more left brain and people like that are more right brain. Yep, more people are doing. And so there's a bit of an exercise that we've got to kind of see which one you might sort of struggle with the most, to see like which one kind of like might make you stuck. And to some degree, it's like the people that are more like the creatives, the right brain, the spiritualists, like maybe like the more heart people. Often what can happen with them is they multitask. And when they multitask, often they never quite complete any particular task, and it affects their business game. It affects their ability to move all the way through to the other side of what it is that they want to do. And so that's why, like with our program, we help people to not multitask anymore. And so are you guys up for like a quick little game to see how much multitasking sucks? So if you can get out of like a pen and paper, or just like, just got gallery view on. Who's got a pen and paper? Let's, excellent. Alrighty. So what I want to get you to do is at the top of the page, write the first letter of your name. And then underneath it, write, get more people joining. Underneath it, write the first letter of a pet's name. So next to the first letter of your name, put the second letter of your name. Under the first letter, next to the first letter of your pet's name, then put the second letter of the pet's name, and just keep alternating. So you go letter of your name, letter of the pet's, letter of your name, letter of the pet's. And just like check out just how difficult this actually is.
Yeah, I understand that.
So this is the problem with multitasking, or sometimes like what people can suffer from if they're really brilliant heart people, which is great. So it's not like we're saying head or heart, good or bad, is that they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. This is the weakness of the heart part, is that the heart part likes to multitask. How difficult was it to do that next to this, this next option? Now just write your name.
Yeah, I get it, Scotty.
And then write pet's name. Brent, yeah. Brent, you're a creative. You like to skip ahead. It's like, give me the manual. I'll go straight to page 140 something. Can you guys relate to that sometimes, like being a bit of a creative? Actually, who would say, I'm going to switch between the gallery view. Who would say that they're more of a head person? And who would say that they're more of a heart person?
In the middle.
Yeah, you can be both. So which one was easier?
Writing my name just, and then writing my dog's name.
Yeah, just one at a time. So forget multitasking. So in everything that we're going to be doing with you guys, we're going to scrap the entire idea of multitasking, because what it actually is it's just rapidly switching between monotasking, but losing all of the time and focus and energy that it takes to keep switching. So we're going to do one and then the other. So every now and then, like we might sort of say to you something like, oh, we're not up to that. Let's stick to this. Then let's move on to the next one. So if multitasking is the thing that you would say that perhaps that like the heart people struggle with, what do the head people struggle with? What do the left brainers struggle with?
Connection to people.
Can be. This is just the way that I see it, so feel free to argue. The way I see like the head or the left brain people, they struggle with making a decision with insufficient information. So often, like the deer in the headlights, you get them a task and say, write an ebook. They'll be like, okay, what font size should I use? Like, just give it a go. I can't just give it a go. Someone like, what font size? How long should my video be? How many benefits and features should I mention in my sales video? I'm like, I don't know, just give it a go. Does that kind of make sense? Like the left brainers, it's difficult when somebody's like stuck in the left brain to make a decision. In order to balance that, we like to do exercises where we like basically say, pick a number between 1 and 10. You know, like with the head person says, or left brainer says, oh, what's this for? Or like if you say to like a left brainer, I'd like you to write down 100 goals. Oh, okay, like what's the rules? No rules, just write down 100 goals. What kind of goals? Nothing, just write down 100 goals. Oh, well, I can't do that because I'm not really sure like the guidelines are. That's where they struggle. Whereas the hard person, oh, I'll give you 100 goals. But then they switch between them and they're multitasking, so they're not necessarily pursuing anyone. So this kind of makes sense as to some of the psychology that seems to hold business back for people. Because besides like, you know, the whole thing that like Jack and I are about to take you through, like today is sales day. So that we're talking about like how to package, how to talk about how to price what you have, how to package it up in an attractive way, and how to sell it, which is really cool. But there's also like these psychology, like this mindset stuff that has to kind of back it up as well. So Jackie, you've got like a story for us that you'd like to talk us through?
Yeah, so yeah, just quickly before we get started. So I just wanted to say how I spoke about it on day one, how when I started in business, I started in graphic design and website design. And I remember, selling $80 Australian for one logo or $30 for an hour's work. And what that meant is not only was it really difficult, financially, because I was having to always chase the next job, so we did the logo and then I was like, okay, do you want a website now? Do you want a business card? Like, because I need some more money, to be able to keep going. It was also, I remember just
Sit today.
Brent, do you mind if we mute you until you speak? It was just
Oh, sorry.
no worries. It was also just the other strong thing I noticed was a great deal of disrespect that I received from clients. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Like I would get, emails like at 10 p.m. with capital letters, "This is urgent," and it just almost like I was very, very good, very, very good at it, just kind of like a natural ability with design and branding and things like that. But it was just kind of like, I think because I was charging so low, that there was definitely this connection between charging low and the amount of respect I received. It almost at times felt like they, thought I was an employee rather than, someone they were contracting. And it was almost as if as well, they disregarded me having other clients, especially when, you're only charging like $80 or $100. And there was this one moment where I was actually camping. I'd taken a break because I needed it, and I was camping with some friends, and then I looked at my phone and I just it just lit up with heaps of messages because even though I'd let everyone know in advance, this one client contacted me while I was away and with heaps of missed calls, call after call after call, over like this very small issue. And it was just constantly exhausting and stressful. And I just honestly didn't like being treated like that. And so what I did is, we're going to walk you through it tonight, is I changed my pricing structure. And it was interesting because there was a few people that led me to do this. One person was at an event once and they were bragging almost, saying how they increased their prices and then all of a sudden they got more sales. It got easier to get sales because people were less resistant to paying a higher amount, which was interesting. And then a mentor as well that encouraged me to change my prices. And what happened is, as soon as I changed my prices instead of just selling one, small ticket item, instead selling the whole program. So not just a logo, not just a website, the whole package, every single step included. It wasn't just a massive increase of like ease of money because, reoccurring payments, but just that small change, there was a direct correlation between that and the amount of respect I received. I didn't change anything else. It's very interesting. And because the thing is, it's like, you don't want to be treated that way. And it's just something I've noticed, which is not great to say, but tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating programs. So not only will it make it easier for you to financially be stable, because we're going to help you charge higher ticket so that you can look after yourself and also get recurring income. But it's not just that, it also leads to attracting clients that respect you more. And also we've noticed that, if you try to get someone to pay $5, like I have a $5 ebook, and I've literally had people message me and ask me all these questions about it. Is it going to be okay? And I'm like, it's $5. Like I buy this for a coffee. Whereas when you charge higher, has anyone noticed how when you charge higher that this tends to be less of an argument because you attract a different type of person? So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. And there's so many benefits of it. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Scott.
Awesome. And so true. I remember you telling me like over a $5 ebook, and you got messages like, message after message, and this went on for days. Like this person going, "I'm just not sure what I'll get out of this $5 ebook," and you like, "It's okay, you don't have to buy it." Like, "Oh, no, I'd like to know. I'd like to know about it. I just want to know if it's the right decision for me." And you're like, it is amazing that like that's the kind of behavior that happens when people charge like just that much. Whereas like, you charge like a higher amount, people are like, all right, I'm just in. And the psychology would sort of like make us think in a way that like, isn't charging higher harder? Oddly, it's easier. And that's what we'd ask you guys to do as well. So like when you package up what you have, so whether it's a product or whether it's a service, we want you to sell something that's going to like, in a way, warrant some respect from the people buying it, but also like basically to be able to sustain you and like what it is that you want to do as well. So Jackie, you happy to grab those slides?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right.
So guys, just as an FYI, I will be clicking the buttons on the slides for the majority of it, like for all of it, but Scott or I will be speaking just because I've got control over it. So you know what's happening here.
I'm too old to work technology. So basically what we've got here is, let's say that like on the left, there's what you provide, on the right, there's like your potential client. And so for anyone who doesn't know, like where I started a business, so like today I got my 9th service award from WOMO, which is like an independent review site, from the hypnotherapy that I've been doing for 11 years. So for 9 years, I've been getting like that annual word of mouth award, which means that you need to get like, plenty of reviews or plenty of like, 4 to 5 star reviews. Luckily, all of mine have been 5s, which is really great. Or maybe people are just nice. But after doing 11 years of hypnotherapy, I've basically booked in something like about 4,000 people to do the quit smoking program. When I first started, I had a lot of trouble with it because like you can imagine, like with the, there's your potential clients, and what they want is to quit smoking, but there's what you provide, and you go, I provide hypnotherapy, counseling, NLP, personal training, or like whatever it is that you provide. It could be art, it could be golf balls, it could be massage, it could be Reiki, it could be personal training, whatever it is. The problem with this is that when you sell yourself, or when you sell your product, or when you sell your service, the first mistake that we tend to see people make, and like what I made in the beginning, is that people just start offering their skills. They say like, I'm good at that, come and buy some. And this actually completely lacks an offer. So what I mean by it lacks an offer, so that part was just to say to you guys, like, hey, I've studied hypnotherapy. Who would like to buy some? It's, let's say like, $200. Would you like to buy $200 of hypnotherapy? It's like we haven't established a purpose. We haven't established a program for it, if that makes sense. So if we go to the next slide, this is actually better. Because let's say like what this is, it's a box. And so this box is a metaphor, or in a way, it establishes like how you speak and how you communicate what it is that you sell. So where it says quit smoking program, all it is so far is it's a box. And we basically said that, so when this person on the right who wants to quit smoking, and they come over to this program called the quit smoking program, they are so much more likely to buy that than to pay someone who says, I've got some skills. And some ways that you may have seen this like play out in real life, like, does everybody know who like, say, Tony Robbins is? Yep. So with that, what if I was to say to you, do you guys want to come and listen to some guy on a stage? He's going to say words for 14 hours and you get to sit in a chair with 5,000 other people. Does that sound good? Is that maybe not the best way to describe it? But when your friends bring you to an Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins event, they go like, Are you doing UPW? Or are you doing the speakers program? Or are you doing business mastery? Are you doing, like, everything has a name? Like, I never really watched Game of Thrones much, but what I heard was that everything had a name. Everything was a proper noun, as in, like, there's no such thing as just a chair. There's no such thing as just a sword. It was the sword of the 12 rings of the Wizard of, I don't know. But everything, like, was an established fact. And so that's what your program needs to be. So where it says quit smoking program, we can do better than that. It's got to be named something. So when people say, hey, are you doing the da-da-da-da? Does that make sense? So let's go to the next slide. So these 3 boxes are 3 suggestions of what we'd like for you to consider that you might be able to sell. So if your goal is to do, let's say, like $100,000 a year, it could be more, it could be less, like depending on what your goal is. But let's say like just the $100,000 a year as a starting point for the maths. So we've got these 3 options. So like the first one, if we just go to the next. So what this could be is, especially when you're just starting out, it takes more preparation to do like webinars. It takes more preparation to do something that's like, an online course or a seminar or a pre-established program. The fastest path to money as an expert is to basically see someone either face-to-face over a Zoom one-to-one, because it's the easiest one to get at first. So let's say like if you were to sell a 60-minute session, but in a program where they get 5 sessions over 5 weeks, if it's $200 per session, that's a grant, that's $1,000. So to make we call it like, well, there's 100,000, but like 104,000 per year, because that's what the maths works out to be on this one. You only need to sell 2 programs a week. Does that make sense? So let's say like if somebody wants to sell, if somebody wants to make $1 million a year selling a $1 item, that's going to be very, very hard. Because like not only would you have to sell 1 million of these items, but you would have to get the attention of like say 100 million people. So out of those 100, if 1% of people bought from you, you'd still, it'd be very, very difficult to get the attention of 100 million people per year, if that makes sense. So we don't want you to put yourself into a situation where the numbers don't work out. Like this morning when we did a bit of a demonstration on a sales call practice, we were talking about like, like I was like playing as like a character in a sales practice where I wanted to make, like say like $100,000 a year by selling a $5 ebook. They've gone, great, just sell 400 a week. How many did you sell last week? Oh, 2? Okay, great, just up it by 398 next week and you're there. And you're like, well, I don't know how to do that. Like it's like the numbers are too hard when you're selling something that's too cheap. At the same time, like if you wanted to sell like say a coaching program that was like say $100,000 per session, there's particular requirements for that to happen. So like especially when someone's like in the earlier years, that's not something in the realm of where we ask them to even attempt. So instead, if you had a program that's worth, let's say just like $1,000, and it was just, and this is something that people are very, very used to buying or very, very used to spending for programs, just 200 per session, 5 sessions, so that's 1,000. Sell 2 programs a week, and you can work in the sessions 10 hours a week plus the admin or any marketing that you need to do. So it becomes now like in the realm of doable. Does that make sense, guys? Good. So the second one is the 2-day workshop. So you can imagine, let's say like that if you were either face-to-face in the classroom, depending where you are and what's allowed at the moment, or if it was like in a Facebook group or a Zoom setting of some kind. Let's say that you just want to do like a 2-day workshop, even if let's say like it's a half day one day and a half day the next. So it's not something that's going to tire you out too much. If you did this and you wanted to get like say the $100,000, which the math on this one works out to $101,400, you would only need to run it 6 times per year or once every 2 months. let's say that you sold about 12 tickets to each event. And let's say that it's like, say, $1,500. You would only need to sell 1.3 tickets per week. And then only run it once every 2 months. Does that sound a lot more doable to, like, say, to do $100,000 in workshops or Zoom calls or Zoom programs if all you had to sell was, let's say, like 1.3 per week? Everything we've stacked upon this so far, as in there's the headline, there's the Phil Felt Found, there's the call to action. And we're going to talk soon about what to actually say to sell it. So at the moment, all we're talking about at the moment is the price structure. And then if we go on to the next one, and this one is the 2-week online course. So imagine if you were to run this monthly and you only had 11 people come per month. So the maths on this one works out to 105,600 per year. This one, I really, really like this payment structure because I think it's one that a lot of people haven't perhaps considered just how gentle of a slope it is to the $100,000. How doable does $80 sound? Does that sound fairly doable? And so if you're going to charge someone, let's say like $80, but times 10 payments, 10 weekly payments, we found that it's incredibly easy, especially if you're communicating really great value, that just 10 weekly payments of $80, and all you'd need is, like, say, 11 students per online course, you would only need to sell 2.5 spots per week. So for getting you, like, crazy numbers of like, oh, you've got to make 100 sales a week, 200, 300, 500 sales a week, 2.5. Is that something that you feel that if your marketing was good enough and you gave away a really good ebook, perhaps like followed it with a really good video, and also that your psychology was set up in a way where you really came from the other person's point of view and they've gone, I'm understanding what's going on here. Like, I'm really finding that, like, this person's giving me a view of how I can move forward. How easy would then it be for just to sell 2.5 per week? And let's say, like, even if you just wanted to do, like, say, 50 grand a year, just halve it. Halve how many you would need to sell per week, or sell 2.5 every 2 weeks. So then just going to the next slide. The funny thing I found about these 3 boxes is that these 3 boxes are actually just price structures. They're not actually programs. They're just examples of what a pricing structure could be. But I'm just going to move to, just so I can see, like, some hands. By looking at them, did anybody ever feel like that they wanted to buy one? Just by looking at it? Like, yeah. Absolutely. So it's the crazy thing though is that these aren't products. They're just pricing examples. But this is kind of how the psychology works, that when people have these skills, they're going, I've studied everything. It's like, well, yes, you have. So, but when you're communicating it to a person, you've got to put the offer together in a way that people understand that, like, this is exactly what I want. And then you've got to have a pricing structure. So this is what I love about these 3 examples. So then if we move on to the next part, the shop is the sale. So at this stage, your audience is in a buying mode. So all you need to do is sell something that solves the problem. And when we say, like, at this point, they're in a buying mode, in the next module that Jackie and I are doing, like, say, the business in a box, it's very much about, like, what we've just done in the Entrepreneur's Rivalry. So what's kind of interesting is, like, with what Jackie and I have done, is that for the first round of the Entrepreneur's Rivalry, we made $0. We didn't pitch. We used it to get people in, and then we took them through a second program, and then we really kind of, like, used it as an example to get some videos, to get some case studies, to get some testimonials, and then we went back to do the Entrepreneur's Rivalry again. We had more people come through, and basically on Friday we did about $36,000 worth of sales. So we've gone from, like, 0 from the first round, 36 so far, and we're looking to do about, like, 10 sales of the 12,000. After that, we're looking to basically to grow it bigger, to do, like, you know, the 7 figures. having this challenge first, every sales call that I've done basically starts with people like saying, you know, to me like, by the way, before we start, I just want to thank you for this challenge that we've done together. So you can imagine, like, what if every sales call that you were ever on started that way? And so we would encourage you that if you're going to basically pitch somebody, pitch something that's worth it. Pitch something that's worth it for you and them. So make sure, is it a price point, which it's as like the Jackie's story was, that it needs to basically create enough respect both ways, that you're charging enough and you're delivering enough. But once you've actually built that much value with people in a free challenge, this is where we say then the shop is the sale. And at this point, your audience is in a buying mode. But there's two different ways to sell. We kind of go like, there's the good way, there's the bad way. So there's the generic sale versus the strategic sale. So the generic sale is almost just like, come and get it. It's almost like where people just sort of say like, I've got a program, do you want to do it? But they haven't really told you anything about it. So then on the next slide, what to sell for service-based businesses. So we had these options of, option one was the coaching program. So each of these, if you just focused on one at a time, so remember like multitasking, the left brain versus right brain, we recommend focusing on just one of these at a time so that you finish it. If your brand's new and you basically just want to get started, feel free to start with the coaching. Option two, the seminars, and option three, the online course. The online course is really good when you've got so much in your head and you've seen that many people that you kind of go like, well, two things. One is I want to help more people than I can actually speak to. The other part is that you go, well, I want to start by blending my one-on-one coaching with an online course, because people keep asking me the same question over and over. And I go, so I'm on the phone to help people with my one-on-one coaching, and I've got a 1 hour explanation for their question. I can move people from that question to the 1 hour video. So let's say that I've just talked to 10 people and they've all got the same question, and I move them to that video. Or I've talked to 10 people that have 10 different questions, and I move those 10 people to 10 different videos, so that they're all spending 10 hours with me, but without me, if that makes sense. So it supplements. It's so much easier to sell a coaching program, or it's so much easier to sell an online course when you bring them together and you blend it. So then how to sell anything? There's basically 6 things that we say that you should say when selling your program. So when it comes time to actually tell people what's in your program, I've heard a lot of people have a lot of versions of this, and some mistakes I've seen is like where they throw so many choices at the person that they're pitching that there's kind of like that paralysis by analysis, like that there's too many options and they have this deer in the headlight. And especially if they're going to be talking to like a left brain person, almost every time, if you give them too many options, they're going to say, I'm going to have to go away and think about it. What we found with this is like the same as like when I first started with hypnotherapy and then eventually doing the business coaching, the same rules apply. They're the same 6 things that you say no matter what. And it's the rhythm. And I think that someone this morning was saying that like, when you said that, it sounds like you've said it so many times that you're already established, because I'd said it something like 4,000 times to 4,000 smokers to get them to book in to do my quit smoking program. So the first thing, so if you guys have a pen and paper again to write this down. So step 1, what's the first thing that you should say about your program? Remember like when I was saying like with Game of Thrones, like everything's a noun. It's kind of funny like when you've got like there's the word relationship versus relate. So relationship's like a noun, it's a thing. So between 2 people, there's this third thing between them, which is the relationship. And it's like, it seems to have this power to somebody in the relationship plus the relationship itself can sometimes seem to like almost like gang up against the third party, which is the other person in the relationship. It's kind of strange how something like a relationship sounds fixed, but the word relate being a verb, it just sounds like this fluid movement, like something that you do. So it's like, I can relate to you, you can relate to me, but a relationship being the noun, it's something that has like almost like this object of permanence. Like, say like if there's a cave and it's just a cave, you can walk in it and not really feel that you're trespassing in on anybody. But what if there's a sign that says Bob's Cave? It's like, now, I don't know if Bob's home or not, but if it says Bob's Cave, Bob might be home, Bob might, you know, like with, was it who was it with the 3 bears? Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So it's like that the Three Bears owns that house. That's the fact. It's kind of like that she's going into the bear's house. So this is kind of like almost like what we're doing. It's like that this is almost like that this is your house. When we're talking about like your product, the first thing I'd like to get you to write down, like next to step 1, what's your program called? The second one is basically the core inclusions, or what do you get? So when I was first doing hypnotherapy, I basically would say that it comes with the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy. Or when we're doing the marketing, it's like it's a 6-month coaching course. This kind of contextualizes it because people don't like to walk into a dark room at night and start bashing their ankles onto furniture. They like it when you turn the lights on. So what this kind of does is it kind of contextualizes it in a way like where they go, what is it that I'm about to come into? The third one is kind of like the core inclusions, but this is like the extras, the bonuses. What else do you get? There was a very important thing about bonuses. So I'd love to hear like who can pick out an issue with this. Let's say I'm going to give you like, or I'm going to sell you a cookbook about how to make the perfect pizza. It has pizzas from like, from history. It has new age pizzas. It has like keto pizzas with a cauliflower base. It has like vegetarian pizzas. It has like kind of like the low carb pizzas. It has everything. And as a bonus, I'll give you, let's say a golf ball. What's wrong with that bonus?
It's got nothing to do with pizzas.
Yep.
You're
So-
shipping like golf.
Yeah. So would that
Golf.
would that add to my sales?
If you have pizza after golf, maybe.
So in general, do you reckon that would raise my sales or lower my sales?
Well, I was thinking I wouldn't want a set of steak knives with a pizza recipe book.
We found that as a rule that people, when they're buying a product, they like to feel like they're a genius when they're buying. So what they like to look at the entire thing. Like have you ever seen like when an 18-year-old gets a credit card? How do they select it? They're like, I'm approved, I'm in, that's it. That's all they do. They don't think any further about like, well, what kind of credit card? Like, what's the annual fee? Like, does it come with rewards? Does it do all these extra things? But like how as we get just like that little bit more experienced, we really like to be like kind of like that genius customer who thinks, am I going to use all of these bonuses? And that really counts when they're making the decision to buy. But the surprising part is that not only does like say an irrelevant bonus, such as like golf balls for a pizza course or a pizza book, not only does it not help sales, it doesn't have a neutral effect on sales either. It has a detrimental impact on sales because people will look at that bonus, and if it's not for them, they'll basically go, well, I'm not going to use that bonus, so I don't think that I'll get the full value of this package, if that makes sense. So what you want to do is make sure that the bonus that you give is either directly related or related adjacent at least to what it is that you're selling. So like when I was doing my quit smoking program, so it's like the program's called the Quit Smoking Hypnotherapy. It comes with the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus the 2-disc CD set. So that's something that's directly related, like the 2-disc hypnotherapy CD set as a mini session at home to help you quit smoking. The fourth one, and this is very important, this is kind of like the social proof. And social proof, the first time I heard social proof, I actually misinterpreted it as in like that I thought of it like bulletproof, like I'm social proof, as in like nothing social can hurt me. That's not what this means in this context. So social proof is like proving socially that everybody else is in, they're just waiting for you to join as well. So like the standard results, so step 4 is what's the usual outcome that people get from your program? Or what's the usual reason that people have had to get it? So like for me, like with the quit smoking program, I'd say that the program's the quit smoking hypnotherapy where you get the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus the 2-disc CD set. Almost everybody quits by the end of the first session. So that would be my standard results. The next part is the price. So then the way that we say price is depending on what your currency as well, but still this rule applies to everybody. Don't say the name of your currency. So like when I told people about the quit smoking therapy program, I'd say that it's $395. I didn't say that it was in dollars, it's $300 plus $90 plus $5 that you have to give me and take from your pocket or purse or wallet into mine. Like it's that you don't want to scare them. You want to say this in a super casual way. So we leave out words like dollars, or whether it's pounds or whether it's whichever currency that you're using. Leave out that word. Also leave out words like 100 or 1,000. You can clarify with them. If they say, oh, is that 395 or is that, 3,000 or is that 12,000? So it's like, if they clarify with you, absolutely, like clarify with them. But when you're telling them the price, the idea is don't spook them. Just say it like it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, the program's like this much. It's it's the 5 sessions at the 200 per session. Or like say that you wouldn't say 200, it's just the 200 per session. Does that make sense? And then the last one that you say is what we call like the no-brainer inclusion. This is the thing that usually pushes them over the edge to want to join. So if I do like my whole quit smoking thing, I basically say the program is the 2 sessions of hypnotherapy plus the 2-day seeding set. Almost everybody quits by the end of the first session. It's $395 and that covers everything, including the lifetime guarantee, which basically means you get to come back free of charge for life. So you can imagine how many times I've said that in the past. At that point, if there was step number 7 would be pause and wait for the other person to speak. What I've found at this point, like especially if you've done like a really great job, like with either an online challenge or doing the marketing, as you're presenting this program to people, you want to say it as if you've said it a million times. So it's kind of like for every dollar you want to earn, practice it once in the mirror. Get it to the point like where it is a fluid sentence or a fluid paragraph that just comes through. Where, do you guys like know that comedian called Jerry Seinfeld? So this is like a little bit of a dark example, but he basically said that you know that a comedian is really good at their act if they're capable of getting punched in the face mid-act and to continue. So that's how well rehearsed we would like for you to be able to say these 6 things. So if you've got them written down, we'd love to do like a bit of a role play with like, just like say 1 or 2 of you. Who would like to volunteer just to read out what they've got? So if you'd like to perhaps unmute yourself and just say hi.
Hi, I will. Hi Scott, hi Jackie.
Hey.
Sorry, my home sounds very hollow. We're about to paint, so everything's been taken down. So just excuse the echo. Okay, let me try quickly.
But there's no material, and so
yeah,
like if there's nothing to absorb. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, let's go with step 1, naming your program. So our program is called Ultimate Wholeness. Step 2, it contains, it consists of a 12-week program.
Could I just
could I
just get you just not to say step 1 or 2 and everything, and just
sure.
read out what you have, and just literally just read it off the page if you're happy to do that.
I could do that, yes. Okay, our program is called Ultimate Wholeness. It consists of a 12-week program with 5 courses, which are easy to follow, and 8 visual one-on-one coaching appointments. Plus, you will get on-demand videos, online workshops, workbooks, bonus guides, assessments, and practical resources. Almost all my students have results, just as long as they put in the work. It's only $4,997 or 4 equal installments of $1,250 per month. If you have, you will have unlimited access to our updates and our upgrades. We will have weekly Q&A sessions, and if you have you'll have direct access to me via WhatsApp during the 12 weeks of your program.
Good. I really liked that. With the price, what I would recommend is to only give one option, and if they need it, you can offer the other option in the objection handle.
Okay.
But well done. Jackie, is there anything you wanted to say about that particular one?
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. Really good, well done. The only thing I would add is you said for step 4, something along the lines of almost everyone gets results. That's a little bit too broad.
Okay.
So what we would want, and even if you're speaking to different people, so you might need to change what the result is if you're speaking to a different person. For example, I'm sure with Scott's hypnotherapy business, if you're speaking to someone quit smoking, he would, like you said before, almost everybody quits by the second.
Yes. Yeah, mine sort of say that almost everybody quit smoking. It said almost everybody quit smoking by the end of the first session.
Okay.
So there's a suggestion there to say that like almost everybody does the first session. Everybody else must do like what the following one, perhaps, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So what would you say is a more specific standard result that you could say?
Maybe just reword it as to say that most of our students start showing results within the second session.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah. It's such a subtle change, but it does get more specific.
Yes. Yes.
This is, I guess, adding the time frame as well.
Yes.
Good job.
I just want to write it down before I forget it. Okay, I'm good.
That was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would somebody else like to have a run through of what they've written down?
Can I just ask a question, Scott?
Yeah.
Is it you're better off saying like a 3-month course or a 90-day course? What's more effective? Because I've heard different, like.
The way I would translate the difference is that a 90-day course is usually, it sounds to me as if that you need to show up for every one of those 90 days. Whereas, yep, so I'm just being offered tea. Yes, please. Thank you. Sorry, but a 3-month course to me is a little bit, gives you a little more leeway. Let's say that if you didn't want to deliver something to them every single day for 90 days. So like when we've got a 21-day challenge versus a 3-week challenge, a 3-week challenge, we might only give, let's say, 1 task or 1 video a week, perhaps 2. But with a 21-day challenge, they're expecting something every day. So which one would you feel that you'd prefer to do?
All right. Okay. So, yeah. So having said that, then, would you, as opposed to saying the 90 days, is there a difference between saying 12 weeks and 3 months? Or is it the same thing?
We haven't seen that much difference. I mean, like a lot of PTs tend to say, 12-week challenge. It depends if like you're trying to make it sound bigger or smaller, and there's some reasons. And what we tend to find is like when it comes to dealing with small numbers, it's like you want to make them sound bigger, and when it comes to bigger numbers, it's like you want to make them sound smaller. So like if you wanted to take on a client that, let's go, they're going to charge you 25 grand. Sorry, they're going to pay you 25 grand, or another one who's going to pay you like something like $200. For the $200 one, I would try to not make it sound like $200. I'd be like, it's just 197, and use the round, the odd numbers. It's like it's not even all the way up to 200. But like when it comes to like something like $25,000, it's oddly you get a higher conversion rate when you don't say it's 2,490. Like no one cares about like the $3 difference there. It's like that when you're dealing with bigger and bigger numbers, they like to keep it sort of simple, if that makes sense. So it really depends on the tier of the relationship. So if they're people that don't know you and they're not paying much, I would use those tactics, end the number with a 7, something like that if it's a dollar amount. Or if you're going to do like, say, 3 months versus 90 days or something, it depends on the tier. So that lower tier, thank you. I'm Little Miss Naughty today. That's my teeth that I'm getting. The lower tier, I would go like the 90 if it's an introduction program. Once you're charging people like larger sums, they prefer fewer details because they're decision makers who are ready to go. So in that case, like if you're doing a business coaching program that's 25 grand or something for 3 months, I would say it's 3 months, not 90 days. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It makes that because yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Thank you.
That's all right. Who wants to have a run through of the 6 steps? You'd like to?
Yeah, I don't have it written down per se, but I think I can roll it off my tongue if I can try. Not being game. Okay, so the name of my program is Master Core Confidence with Women and Money. It's a 3-month course. And
Can I just ask you, like, the Women and Money?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Having confidence with women, but also being able to, have confidence about money, because a lot of the times men feel they can't date certain women because they don't have enough money.
Oh, quite literally in this case, I would leave the money part out and just call it like confidence with dating women.
Okay.
Or else it sounds like 2 separate things that have been brought together.
Mm-hmm.
Like one time, I think I saw a place that said car vacuuming and ice cream. And maybe they go together in some way that I can't imagine. But from someone driving fast down the road at 80 kilometers an hour, I didn't have enough time to piece it together in my head. So like it might make perfect sense to you, but we want that the busy person who's listening to it not to get confused, because a confused person tends not to buy.
Okay.
All right, so if you want to go from the top.
Okay. So we said master, well, I lost it now. Master confidence with dating.
Yep.
Does that sound all right?
Yep.
Okay. So master confidence with dating. It's a 3-month course, which includes which includes 6 weeks of audios of hypnotherapy. But see, this is where I get confused whether I talk about that or just call it confidence boosting audios that they can listen to.
Yep. Would you say that you're more of a left brainer?
I thought I was more heart, but maybe I could be more left brain.
Yeah, you're
You've
left
got
brain.
both.
I'm left brain.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am. All
Yeah.
right. Sometimes I think my perfection makes me seem like I'm more left.
Left brain. Left brain's perfectionist.
I am a perfectionist.
Yeah, that's left brain.
Because the left brain, sometimes it makes decisions harder than what they need to be.
Uh-huh.
I would, so like if you're going to like give a bonus and say like they get like 6 weeks of like hypnosis audios, I would just say what they're for, like 6 weeks of confidence with women hypnosis audios, and then just move on.
Okay. So that's okay to say that, right? It's not like you're trying to sell the hypnosis, because I get confused with thinking, oh, am I trying to package the hypnosis because it's the results they need to hear rather than how I'm going to do it?
You're just on the bonus, like all they need to hear is they get a thing and what it does.
Sell the result. That's all we're doing. Selling results.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So 6 recorded audios on how to actually gain confidence.
Yep.
The standard results. So this is where I don't get the standard result. Is that where you say what usually happens?
Yep.
Like, for example, after 3 months working with me, you can quite confidently, approach a woman, date her, and possibly lead to a long-term relationship? Or is
exactly that, but shorten it. So something like the program's intended to help you to find a date within 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
if you have like enough clients behind you, you might not want to say that the standard result, or usually people, if it's not a result that you've had so far, but you could say that the program's designed to help you to find a date within 2 weeks.
Okay. All
Mm.
right.
Price?
The price is 2,997.
Good. And then the no-brainer inclusion. What else do they get at the end?
What else? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, so the last part could be like a guarantee, like, 30-day money back guarantee, or that plus you get access to our live events for free, or whatever it is that you want to add. But the idea is like, you don't want to end on price because that'll be the last thing that rings in their brain.
Right. So the no-brainer conclusion is they get, this is not bonus then. This is where I don't get the no-brainer conclusion.
It's very similar to a bonus.
Oh, it is very similar. Okay. So I would include like 5 sessions of, what do you call it? Grooming, like where I can help them with color coding, dress attire, to build that confidence.
You'd probably want to simplify what it's called and say, plus you get access to my how to look your best program.
Yeah.
Good. I like it. All right.
Thank you. Sorry, I think I shouldn't have rolled it off my tongue, right? It was too.
Oh, well done. No, it's
Writing it
fine.
down helps a lot, but that was good.
Thank you.
And we recorded it too, in case you didn't write it all down.
Okay, thanks.
Jackie, did you want to perhaps like go with the next slides, or
Yes.
where do you feel we're at? Cool. So with the product, so it might be like a service that you're giving us, like hypnotherapy, Reiki, coaching, NLP, all those things. But some people aren't selling necessarily a service, like there's a product. So it could be like, paintings, or it could be art, or it could be, fruit. So and they'll be like, well, I can't sell $1,000 product because apples aren't worth $1,000. But there is a particular way of doing it. And this is something that it makes a lot of sense in hindsight. Do you mind just like putting the list down just so we can just see the whole list once? So like, I'll just read them off the page to begin with. The thank you letter, the primary product, the secondary product, the bonus items, the manual instructions, the ongoing supply memberships, and then the demonstration events class. So there was a story that I remember, like where there was a particular guy who was a mechanic, and business in his area, not just for him, but many other mechanics, was not doing so great. So he decided to put on this show for people. He organized a workshop where just people come into his like basically half clean, half dirty garage. And from in there, he did a demonstration for young men who didn't know how to do this, how to change the oil in their cars. Could you imagine like, say his business actually did quite well after that because everybody was talking about it. It's like there was nowhere else that you could possibly go to get a service like that, if that makes sense. So let's say if there's something that you're selling, so it might be paintings, or it might be fruit, or it might be, like $15 items. But when you create a membership for it, it makes it a lot easier to create like an entire, let's say like a sample box, like where you've got like this sample package where people can buy like more from you at once. And with the marketing of it, what we've always found to be true, nobody seems to buy your product or service. What people buy is the reason why they bought their product or service. It's like that they go to the restaurant because it's hungry, or they're hungry and it's getting late and the kids need to eat something soon, if that makes sense. So the same is true of a product. It's like, well, it's Christmas, I better get something for somebody quick. Or it's Valentine's Day. Well, I don't want to be the only one like not getting a product for my dates, if that makes sense. So let's go on to the next slide. So the how to sell anything example. So as I was saying, like on Friday, Jackie and I, like from this group, we basically created $12,000 of deposit for the bank account and $36,000 of ongoing payments. And as one more comes through, it'll be basically like the day would have been worth $48,000. If you're happy for me to read out what the offer was, and do you remember like the formula that we just showed you, like the 6 steps? This should sound familiar because I'm basically just going off exactly that. So the program is called Social Media Mastery. It comes with 6 months of coaching, and each month is a 21-day challenge where we lay out the tasks daily to help you get through them. Plus, there's nearly an unlimited library of videos and resources that we use to break down any difficult questions that you have with easy steps. The standard result is an increase of roughly $2,000 per week, and it's just $1,997 times 6 months of payments. And it comes with a full one-on-one coaching, and we only work with a small number of students at a time, so that the only risk is not joining. On Friday, I basically, after doing the rest of the sales call, when it came to doing the pitch, I read that off my phone, just like I did there. And we got 4 people signing up. One of the 4 is still sort of on their way in. But the crazy thing is, like, just by running, like, say, the Entrepreneur's Rivalry, just like, say, like, just 5 days of training, and we hadn't even released the 5th day of training. So people really only had access to maybe the promotional videos that we've done, 4 days of training, and then the sales call. And we did $36,000 worth of sales that day. And we're looking to do perhaps like, you know, like 10 people for this next round of social media mastery. Does it kind of make sense how, Tracy, I'm excited to be one of the, yes, absolutely, Tracy, you're in there. So it kind of makes sense like how that works. Like, what were the 6 elements that I used? Christine Stoke, go Tracy, absolutely. Alrighty. So if we can just show you more about the program. So social media mastery. So this is an old slide, isn't it? Because it says the 15th of November. I believe that might have been from last year. And this is like when we were just working with 2 people at a time. But social media mastery is the program that we're doing. And if we can just show you like what some of the modules are. The fun way that we've put this together, and the reason why, when Jackie and I first started selling this, and we were doing kind of like the seminars in, you know, the face-to-face seminars way before what we called the, you know, the virus of unknown origin, or like the thing that basically, you know, like shut us all down for a couple of years. We got in front of a classroom and we taught for 2 full days, and we did this pitch at the end. And we basically did $90,000 of sales over those 2 days. Then in selling the program, we broke it down into these modules so that people could understand like what this was. So like with the first module, this one, the business strategy, which is like we've renamed now to Business in a Box, where it's the KPIs, the planning, the vision, the bigger picture, and the tracking. Now each one of these modules is a 21-day challenge. And the first one is where we basically show people how to plan out their entire year and how to leave enough space to be successful. So let's say like if somebody came up to Jackie and I and said something like, you guys are really great marketers, right? We'll be like, okay, thank you. And they've gone, so I want to run a seminar tomorrow and I just need 50 people to come tomorrow. Can you help us get 50 people on this webinar tomorrow? And we'd say no. And the reason we'd say no is we'd be like, well, because this is a rushed thing. This is not how we work. If you want to be successful without giving yourself ulcers, you need to give yourself enough space to succeed, so that like whatever it is that you're planning, so whether it's the one-on-one, whether it's the workshops, whether it's like workshops on Zoom or something online, or whether it's an online course, you need to create like enough time to be able to get people in. And it depends on what kind of a size of business that you're doing. So like when I first started doing hypnotherapy, I didn't need very long to start building a client base, because all I had to do was get people in the chair. Whereas like you can imagine like with how we've been running the Entrepreneur Rivalry, we did an entire round of it. And then we did a month of training for free with about 5 students. We built all of these promotional videos that we were, you know, people seemed to really like. And then we came back to do the Entrepreneur's Rivalry again. And at that point had made no money on it. And then looking to do something like between like $100,000 to $120,000 off the second round. We had this plan of not getting paid anything for 2 months, because that was the size of the task that we were looking for. So this module was very much about, like with you guys, if it's something that you do as well, really sizing the challenge that you're about to do to make sure that there's no multitasking as well, but to work out like, you know, like what's your sale price, how many people to get in, how do you run it, how do you make sure that it's successful? The next module, and so like there's 6 of these, is the followers and traffic. And so like the way that this works is that there's this story about like this busy little bee that has to, kind of like a salesman, but basically has to like go from flower to flower to flower, exhausting itself, collecting all of this pollen. So it has to travel so far. Like imagine like almost like if you were like a door-to-door salesman, or like just in Facebook, just like messaging every person one by one, asking them to join your program. It's kind of exhausting. So if you wanted to get as quickly as possible a database that has, let's say, like 10,000 people in it, the first thing we ask you to do is to forget about the number 10,000 and instead to focus on building one thing that we call the marketing wingman, which is something that 10,000 people might be interested in getting for free. So we don't get you to focus on, to begin with, like the numbers of how many leads you want. We get you to focus on the psychology of like, well, if this thing was so good that 10,000 people wanted it, what would it be? So then now, instead of being the busy bee, it's kind of like then your marketing wingman or the lead magnet that you put out, it is the flower and all of the bees come to it. So the way that you get the database of 10,000 people is that it's not 10,000 times the work. It's really about stopping, considering and slowing down to think, well, if my message is going to be that good that I would want to show it to 10,000 people, is it polished? Is it something that's really ready to go out? If that makes sense. So the emails, the Facebook groups, how do you build a bigger Facebook group? YouTube subscribers, phone numbers. The next module is the product blueprints. So this is for people that are ready with, like, they've got so much in their head and they want to help people and they've perhaps seen so many people already. And they want to not only serve more people, but they want to save themselves some time. So that how do you build something which you can scale so that you can put more people through? You can still do your one-on-one calls. You can still coach people one-on-one, but sometimes it only needs to be like, you know, a 3-minute call, a 10-minute call, sometimes an hour call, but not so many of them. Because you can refer to, like, when people message you and say, hey, I've got a question, you go like, well, I've got an exact training for you on that exact module, how to put it together in a way, and also how to engage people, like with the little tricks that we use, especially like with our coaching students, when they're on the webinars with us, like not this format, but like when people are in our programs, we usually use like the format where there's more people on it. So we'll be using the chat thread, which means that we need to use codes in the chat thread, like where people will do W/ and tell us the win for the week. So W for the win, L/ for their learning and tell us what they've learned this week. TA/ takeaway, as in like, what did you take away from today's training? And Q/ question, to say, what's a question that you have now you would like answered? And so ways of like running your online course, like how do you design it from start to finish? Where are people specifically when they start your course? Like, what are their skills at this point? And then at the end, what do you want them to achieve? So like, what's their either pain or ambition that they want solved? And what are their skill sets? What skills need to be developed along the way? What results do they need to see happen by the end? And how do you get them there without having to spend too much time with them? Then the next module, the sell and automate, which is the launch campaigns, create offers, follow-up systems, social media funnels, and email funnels. So this is where you really, again, surround the market by communicating to them through the Facebook posts and the email and paid ads all together, and take them through a funnel of pre-made videos where you're giving kind of like what we did like in the Entrepreneurs Rivalry. There's something that Jackie and I did with, it kind of looks like we've been with you 5 times already in this challenge, but we've actually only been with you 2 times in this challenge. 3 of them were pre-recorded, if that makes sense. So the same as like that, when you're giving free value to people that have never paid you, or when you're giving that kind of value to more and more people, you don't want to make it like one of, 500 coffee chats where you're having to pitch them one by one and get told no one by one. You want to put out something where they can go through your funnel and learn from you to the point like where they maybe not quite have to see you as a rock star, but they definitely respect you as the expert or the go-to who's actually taught them how to solve their problem. So that when I ran my very first challenge, like you guys may have seen, like when I first talked about like my wife leaving me, and the challenge that I ran, which we called how to get booked as a public speaker in 22 days. I'd basically, I'd planned it so that I would show up every day and give like, 5 to 10 minutes of training. And we sold like where basically, you know, for $7, 20 people could get into the challenge. And at the end, I was upselling a program that was $5,500. Then my friends wanted to go camping with me, and they chose a spot where there's no phone reception. So I had to drive back away from the campsite for 15 minutes every day to do my video. And because like my phone was too old and it didn't do like Facebook Lives at the time, and my iPad would, so I would mobile tether my mobile phone to my iPad, and then I would do my 5 minutes, then come back and do like a hike with my friends. And so that was a lot of fun. And I planned it so that as I came back from the camp trip, as I got home, it would be pitch day. So it might be like a Sunday, but I think that on the Sunday, I had to then like do this sales offer on the final day to tell people about this program that I had. But that's when I came home to that note from my wife to say that she'd moved out, which was really confusing because especially me being, sometimes I do have a lot of left brain going on with me, like where I can't have a gap in my knowledge on something that really affects me, like where I go, what's going on here? Like, is she going to come back? Is she not going to come back? Am I cooking her dinner tonight? Am I not cooking dinner tonight? Does she need me to be more supportive? Does she need me to leave her alone? I don't know. What do I do? And so for me, it was kind of like this like fault in the program of my brain. I didn't know how to think at that point. So to have to focus and to have to sell to a group of 20 people to a program like, you know, it was my very first challenge that I ever done. What I did is I talked to my brother, and he was very understanding about like my wife leaving at the time. And we would walk around the oval just like so many times per day. And he was so patient hearing me asking the same questions over and over. And I'd be like, is she going to call today? Is she going to call today? And he's like, look, yeah, maybe, I don't know. So then I did I'm going, well, what do I put in the group? Because today's the last thing. And I want to keep my commitment to make sure that I've done my 22 days of videos, because they've all paid their $7 to be in there. And it's like, well, you don't have to sell though. You can just go in there and just say hi or something. Thank them for being in there. Tracy, guys, thanks for this. I have to run. All right, I'll see you later, Tracy. So I did the video, and all I managed to say on that video was like, guys, just like, thank you so much for being part of the challenge. I was going to do this whole pitch today, but I just don't think that I can, because if you've seen on my newsfeed, something bad has happened in my personal life. And I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. And so within a few minutes, I got a text message from somebody who was in that challenge with me. And she messaged me and basically said like, how are you going? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm okay. But did you see my video today? She's like, yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that your wife left you. But anyway, do you mind if I ask you some questions about marketing? I'm like, sure. You know what? It might take my mind off things. So like, all right, what do you want to know? And she's basically going, so your program, what is it? You never told us your program. Can I do it with you? I'm like, well, I'm not running it anymore because my wife left. And they've gone, oh, but I want to do your program because you helped me so much in that 22 days. I want you to keep helping me. So in her mind, like, money wasn't an issue. She just received the clarity and the help that she wanted in that 22 days. And then she wanted to keep going. It was the most bizarre thing. And then after that, within a few days, 3 more people had joined, even though that I didn't really do a pitch. And so I actually ended up doing 22K in 22 days, which wasn't like, it'll sound like, you know, $1,000 a day for 22 days. It wasn't. It was 0 for 22 days. And then it was 4 sales at the end of 5,500. But at the end of it, it was just interesting that if you run a challenge, people will sign up for your program. Like there's like nothing more powerful than helping people for free. Some of them join, some of them don't. And it does seem to be something like about a quarter of the people that do your challenge will sign up and the price doesn't matter, which is a bizarre phenomenon. So this, like when we say like the sell and automate, knowing the numbers and taking some of that money and running paid ads to bring people back into your challenge, it's something that's really, it's a time in history where we've never really been able to do this before. So then, is it the last slide next? The scale and growth. This one is more to do with eventually at some point, you might want to hire a sales team, or you might want to get people on the phones for you, which is something that generally we leave this all the way to the end. Like we wait for people to finish all of the other challenges before they're ready to do this. But something that everybody seems to want to do, is this on replay? Yes, Christine, like we'll have a replay of this. almost everybody wants to use another person's email list. Let's say if there's another person out there, there's a school or there's an academy or there's like a friend or there's like a business that has a 10,000 person email list, and you're like, well, can you advertise me to your list? There's a particular strategy that seems to have worked really, really well to get other people to agree to do it. And the bad strategy that doesn't work that I've seen people do, they basically say that your product sucks. Do you mind selling my product instead? Could you imagine how poorly that flops? Basically just insulting the person that you want something from. We found that there's a 4-step process where it's basically like it's ego first, where it's like you compliment them for their program, you compliment them for their business. And then the next step is you describe a problem that they're experiencing with their students or a gap that's not being covered, and be like, well, that must be frustrating that people keep coming to you with this gap. The third step is that you teach them how to solve it. And if you teach them how to solve that gap in such a way that they go, I love your plan, it's just that I don't want to do it because it sounds like a lot of work. This is where step 4 comes in, which is the offer. And you say, well, that's okay. Would you like me just to do it for you? They'll be like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, there's this gap in that your clients keep complaining to you that like there's a thing that you don't cover. But if you would like, I can cover that gap for you. And all you need to do, here's the 3 emails. You just send them out to your list. And not only that, but you can get a commission on, say, 50% of what comes through, or 10%, whatever you might decide. And so it's kind of like it's a win-win-win. It's a win for you, it's a win for your promotional partner, and it's a win for the customer as well, who not only gets taught something for free, but then has the option to then come and join your program. So that's why this is module number 6, which is the most advanced one. So with the next slide. So we actually start, we start in about 5 days. We've only got like a couple of spots left. You can message us or like just like say DM us at the end of this, and we can basically then talk to you about like what it is that we're about to start. But it looks like at this point about like say 10 people are doing it, but we've only got 8. So we've got like 2 more spots to do this. So if this is something that you would like help with, please feel free to message us. But also noticing that from what I've described in this offer, I hope at the same time that you've watched it from like, say, maybe team consumer as in come and buy it. That's great. But at the same time, team producer, as in what was I doing there when I was selling? And how did Jackie and I do like, say, 36K last Friday, 3 days ago? Alrighty. Jackie, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think you've done, summarized it really well. Does anyone have any questions or anything about this that Scott was saying? Easy. Well, I want to say, guys, thank you so much for being here over the 5 days. Well, 5 days stretched out to maybe 2 weeks. Thanks for being here and just for, constantly posting in the Rivalry and like really putting in so much effort. And I love it too, seeing, when we give feedback or when you learn something, like see the changes applied and like you going back and changing and editing your post and supporting each other's. It's been absolutely terrific. So thank you just for your time. I've really loved it. Scott?
Yes. Thank you guys so much. You guys have actually done a lot of work in this group. Oh wow, I didn't realize how dark it had gotten around me. But yeah, like, is there anything you guys want to say just like before we go? Any questions you have, or just say goodbye to us?
Thank you. I want to say thank you for everything. Really appreciate it. And it's your 5-day challenge has really kept me on track. I can get distracted by shiny things really easily. So it was good to stay on track and have the confidence of being able to build and feel like I've actually really learned something. So thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Yes, me too. Thank you very much. Thank you for keeping us accountable and it's been a great journey. It's really opened my eyes on how I need to speak to my clients, speak their language and not just the way I saw it, because it was basically all about you, me type thing. You never really put it in their language. So yes, I've learned a lot. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, and you're in the program too, so we'll keep talking.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Gary says, thanks, it's been helpful. I need to focus my core inclusions. Yep. I seem to have disappeared off the screen, but excellent. Really great having you here, Gary. Who else would like to talk?
I just want to say thank you to Jackie and Scott as well. I feel that the simplicity of it has really made it a lot easier, because sometimes like you can go in and out of programs. I'm not sure if anyone else has experienced this, and it's just too overwhelming. There's just too much. Whereas I think the fact that you kept reiterating, keep it simple, stick to one, keep it simple. Yeah, which is probably good for, the left brains like myself, I guess, where I can wander too much and go too deep in where I lose myself. And I can see that by doing that, I'm losing my clients as well, because I'm not keeping it simple and I'm not keeping it like, a straight message. So yeah, thanks for really simplifying that and bringing it back home.
Yeah, and knowing that you're the boss, they're relying on you to know how this works.
Mm.
So that's why they need your certainty.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Brent, I see you on the screen.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Scott. I've learned a few things again.
As always, it's always great to have you on.
Thanks,
Alrighty.
Scotty.
Did anybody else want to talk just before we wrap it up? I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes myself.
Okay, well, yeah, once again, thanks to everyone for being here. It's been awesome. I'll see a fair few of you in the next round, which is going to be great. Yeah, got a few ways. Yeah, love it. I'm excited to keep going. So yeah, other than that, thanks for being here. Enjoy your day or night, wherever in the world you are. And message us if you have any questions or anything at all. Okay, we're going to wrap it up, Scott?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank
See you, everybody.
Thanks,
later.
Scott.